All right, guys, welcome back to Latin Chopsticks. Thank you so much for tuning in. So these last 2 weeks, we've had soups, ramen, pho, and basically very good, very delicious meals. But today I wanted to have something filling and hearty. So today we're gonna be going to a place called Pioco's. And I will tell you right now, this is gonna be the best rotisserie chicken, at least that I've been able to find in Orlando so far. And because it is just perfectly cooked. The outside, you guys just have to see it. It's nice, beautiful, and golden on the outside with the skin. The inside is just super juicy and just falling off the bone because of the way it's cooked. I don't know what seasonings they put in there, but it is the best tasting rotisserie chicken I've been able to eat here. Not only that, but you can get a whole entire family meal, which is a whole chicken, a huge thing of rice, 2 sides, all for less than 20 bucks, and you're able to feed like 4 people. So we're gonna go over there. I'm gonna try to see what sides they have, and I might try to get a little bit extra of the protein because they also serve different things. And one of the things that I really like from them as well is their freaking fried pork belly. It is, oh my gosh, you guys you have to see it, and like, you have to make time whenever you come, and you have to come to this place and get their freaking chicken. And if you can, you need to get their fried pork belly because it is amazing. In Spanish, it's called chicharrón. But guys, let's go ahead. We haven't eaten anything today. I just got off work, and we're gonna head there right now. We're gonna go ahead and get some food. We'll try our best to sit at the restaurant, but usually that place is packed, and there's been a lot of new little restrictions because of the rising cases here in Florida. So we'll see. If not, we'll bring it back here, and we'll have a meal together, guys. Let's go. All right, guys, we made it. We went ahead and got the family meal as we planned. We ended up getting carne frita and chicharrones as well. So I'm pretty excited to get home and unbag everything so we can see all these different meals and all these different foods, because I don't think there's anything I can say besides just showing you guys and to do it justice, because it is one of the best meals you can have here in Orlando. And in my opinion, I strongly do believe that this is going to be the best rotisserie chicken that you can have in all of Orlando. So we're gonna go ahead and do a quick drive home. Unfortunately, they were completely packed in there, so there was no way I could stay. My own fault for going during lunchtime or like after work, I guess dinner time. But it doesn't matter, man. It was totally worth it. And we're gonna go ahead and have some food together at home, guys. So let's go ahead and drive home as quickly as possible, because the smell in this car, it is torture. All right, guys, we did it. We are home. We are ready to do this. There is so much freaking food that we have to go through, because I just wanted everything when I got there. And I've been so excited and ready to show you guys how deliciously amazing this freaking chicken, and honestly all of their food there. I've been so excited to show you guys how good this place is. And there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm gonna try my best to show you as much as I can of this food, so you guys are actually encouraged to go and visit this place, because oh my goodness, how great and delicious their freaking rotisserie chicken is. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna open everything, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just individually show you guys each one of the dishes, and then we're gonna try them all out and see how good it is. So, let's go. All right, guys, so first things first, we got a rice. Now this rice, I don't know what is in it or what they do to make it. It's just plain white rice. But I'm not sure if they just add butter. Honestly, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that the flavor of this just plain white rice is out of this world. It'll blow your freaking mind. I could eat this on its own. Our next dish here, this is gonna be our carne frita, which is basically fried pork. Look at how juicy, fatty pieces, completely deep fried. and then it has some onions to cut through the fattiness. Then right here we have our freaking chicharrones. Once again, look at that. I'm just squeezing it a little bit, and look at all the juices that are coming out. This thing on the top, it is crunchy, it is hard, ready to eat, has big chunks of meat on it, so it's not just all skin, but then you have like, oh my goodness, look at that. You have this here. These are the beans. This is gonna be a great complement to that rice. In all honesty though, the rice does not need absolutely anything. That you could see little pieces of different vegetables in there. You have red beans, but the flavoring of this, oh my goodness. You have the yuca. The yuca is very similar to a potato. It's just a little bit denser in consistency. Of course, the taste is slightly different, but it's very similar. But they get the yuca, they go ahead and boil it, but then they add a little bit of a vinaigrette with some pickled onions, pickled white onions, that just elevates it because it cuts through the heftiness of the yuca itself. Here we have some fried platanitos. This is gonna be basically fried sweet plantains. It adds that sweetness to all the fatty and carbs that you're eating. It just kind of adds that sweetness to cut through everything. But then we have here the star of the freaking show, which is one of the best rotisserie chickens you are ever gonna have in your life. And that's not an exaggeration. This chicken, it's so freaking good. They immediately took it out of the rotisserie machine. They have this giant freaking machine on the back that you could just see the chickens just spinning. All they did was cut it and put it on here. Look at all the juices that this captured. And it's only been about 15 minutes since we drove away. You have the skin nice and golden. You have those charred pieces on the tip of the wings and on the thicker sides of the chicken itself. And like, we're about to dig into each individual dish, and I want you guys to see how tender and how this falls right off the bone. I am super excited. I'm also starving, so without any delay, we're gonna go ahead and make ourselves a quick plate with the chicken, the rice, some of the sides, and then we're just gonna start digging in and we're gonna see the flavors of each one and see how it is. I just wanted you guys to see everything laid out. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, we freaking served ourselves our plate. I'm ready to go. I got some beans, some rice, some chicken. I got 2 plantains, a piece of yuca. I want to have a little bit of everything, so I got a little bit, but of course, if I get more hungry or if I want more, I'll serve myself more. But I want to be able to have everything separate enough where we can actually see each individual item. So let's go ahead and dig in. As you can see here, this is our plate. I had some rice, I had some beans, I got an individual piece of yuca with a lot of that pickled onion because this is amazing. You know, since everything is a bit, you know, fatty, and I know it's very, very good and strong flavor, I really wanted to get some of this pickled onion because it's gonna help cut through all those layers of fat that we're about to eat. But first things first, guys, this rice, just look at it glisten. That's the insane, this is plain white rice, and look at it glisten. The flavor of this, guys, you have no idea. Let's get some of these beans too. The beans are so good because even though they're just beans, the flavor of, like, I'm not sure how they season these beans because there's a lot, I guess the bean water? I don't know what I would call that. But there's a lot of it here, but it's so rich in flavor. It tastes a lot like pork. So I'm not sure if they mix that with, I don't know what they put in it, but it ends up tasting very meaty despite it being just beans. So when you put a bite of some of those beans with their delicious rice, they complement each other so freaking well. It's just poof, blows your mind. The rice is very buttery. Honestly, this is the first time that I'm perplexed because, of course, this is their like secret recipes and things like that, so obviously they're not going to share that. But the rice, it's not your plain rice. It's not salty either. It's, I don't know, it's just, it has like a perfection to it, which I've tried so many times to imitate this. And the only way I was able to get similarly close to what their rice tastes like, me personally, is I washed my rice, I dried it really well. I fried my rice in a little bit of oil, in a little bit of butter, in a little bit of green onion. I make a little bit of green onion oil with the butter, and then I go ahead and I fried the rice dry. And then I grab that and I put water into it. I boil it, make sure the levels of salt, obviously before I add in the water, I salt the water and things like that, make sure it's good and flavorful. And then I make my rice, and it's the closest that I've gotten. I'm not sure if that's what they do, but their rice is one of the best, just plain white rice that I've ever had, better than any other place that I've gone to. Their freaking yuca. Their yuca is cooked to perfection, because when you boil yuca, kind of like a potato, you have that same almost mashy consistency, but it's a little more dense, meaning it sticks into your mouth just a little bit more. I'm not sure if it's because of the vinaigrette and where they have it like in, because as you guys saw in the beginning of the video, they have all of their yuca laid out in a giant like aluminum bin, and in the bin it's just resting under the water, getting it into that perfect consistency that when you eat it, it just almost falls apart. Because honestly, yuca is very tough, because yuca is a root. So it's an actual log of a root. You peel it and then you have to boil it to a certain degree in order for it to get this consistency. Now this one is super soft. You see that? I'm just smashing it with a fork and it's just falling apart. And that is because they have it inside of that vinaigrette with the onions that kind of gives it that flavor, which penetrates the yuca itself, makes it nice and creamy and so flavorful when you eat it. So let's go ahead and get a bite of this. Well, this is a big bite. Let's go ahead and try to see if we can get a smaller piece. Okay, that's good. Let's see if we can maybe grab a little bit of those onions. That is perfect, guys. That is absolutely perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and try this. It has a little bit of a bite. It has a typical yuca flavor. If you guys never had it, you really have to try some fried and boiled yuca. It's just, it has a very unique flavor, nothing to compare it to. But the onions adds that little bit of crunch and freshness into it. And then the pickle kind of cuts through that creaminess of the yuca because of the consistency that it has. And it's really pleasant, not only to the taste, but the consistency and textures that you have in your mouth. The plantain, oh man, this on its own, delicious. Fried plantain, if you've never had it, you're missing out. Basically, you want to get the large plantains. You want to make sure they're ripe, meaning they're yellow, close to having most of it black. That's the best time to have them. You go ahead and you peel it, you cut them and slice them pretty much into little fillets, and then you go ahead and fry them. The sweetness from the plantain itself, because it's so ripe, actually caramelizes the actual plantain, adding an extra layer and like bringing out that sweetness. So when you eat it, it goes really well with salty or fatty dishes because of that sweetness. It helps balance the flavors quite well. There's really nothing to compare a freaking plantain like this on it's such a Hispanic thing, like the plantains. And I know there's other countries that do it as well. And it's something that if you haven't tried it before, you really need to make the time, whether just go to the, your nearest grocery store and try to get some plantains, make sure they're nice and ripe, and just try it. Just go ahead and fry them, and they're gonna add so much to whatever dish that you're having. I've had plantains with spaghetti and meatballs. I've had it with like a whole bunch of different things, because plantains are just delicious, man. They're honestly, they add so much to a freaking plate because of that sweetness. It's like having a little dessert whilst eating your food that complements the food. Now, the thing that I've been excited with the most is this chicken. First of all, look at this. It is beautiful and golden, but then on the inside, it is nice and cooked. And you can see here where it was sitting against the rotisserie machine, but it's nice and tender. Now, I'm using one hand. This is kind of hard. Normally, I just go ahead and eat this like a freaking caveman, which I probably will. But look, I just peeled the outer layer, which is usually dry, and look how juicy that is. Look at this skin, golden. You can see the seasonings, the individual pieces of pepper and other seasonings that they put on there. You have your cartilage right there, but let's go ahead and try this real quick. Oh my goodness. Their freaking chicken is so good. You know what? I'm not even gonna be shy. I'm gonna eat this like I normally do. You know, I could be all gentle and try to use the fork. But when you're eating chicken like this, you just have to dig right in. The inside of this chicken, there's so many seasonings. So you see this right here. I ate most of it, but then I realized I should probably show you guys. So on the inside of the entire chicken, you have this right here. It's really hard to zoom into it. But that is just a bunch of different seasonings that they make into a dry rub, and they put it inside the chicken, and it cooks with the grease of the chicken, but because it's stuck on the inside and it's spinning on that post, the heat is making that completely evaporate from the inside out, which causes the chicken itself to just keep that flavor. And since it's constantly spinning, you constantly have all those juices and everything just spinning around the chicken. Now, all the excess extra grease, because of this rotisserie, is actually falling down to the bottom of the machine. But the top of the rotisserie machine, or I'm sorry, not the top, but like where the chickens are, they're just keeping delicious flavors and juices that you get to enjoy when you dig in. Oh my goodness. It is, look at it, it's just falling apart. All right, the next thing we're gonna try is gonna be the carne frita. Carne frita is basically deep fried pork. They go ahead and cut it up into chunks, they season it, and then they deep fry it. And you get this. And what you have here is delicious, juicy, deep fried little pieces of meat. You got the fattiness in there. Now normally I would use a fork, but I have to show you guys this. We squeeze it here. I'm only gonna grab one really. This is full of flavor. You got the onion to cut through the fattiness. But this is gonna be one of the best pieces of carne frita that you're gonna have. Now we're gonna see if this is as good as it looks. Because the carne frita is deep fried, but there's no skin and no outer layer of like flour or any type of covering, you get this really juicy piece of meat that the outside, it's nice and tough, almost like jerky, but just a little bit softer. But it's a very thin outside layer because of the heat. As soon as it touches the oil, it cauterizes the outside of the tenderness of the meat. But then the inside is extremely soft, juicy, and almost melts in your mouth when you eat it. And just that combination, guys. Oh my goodness gracious. Last but not least, we're gonna have one small piece, just because of all the food we've already had. I'm pretty stuffed, but I have to try a piece of this freaking chicharrón, because this chicharrón is one of the better chicharrones that you can find out there. Usually they're either too dry or they've kind of been sitting out, or if they make it fresh, it's not drained, so it's too oily when you eat it, and it's just, no, at least not to me. This one, the way they do it, they like nice and dry them, but they keep so much of the juices inside, because same thing, when they're frying it, the outside basically becomes this hard outer crust that holds all the flavors inside and all the juices inside. And then when they put it out into the bin, I mean, that thing sells out pretty quick, so they're constantly making more and more. But then by the time the customer, me, gets it, it's like, it's nice and it's not excessively oily, but then when you crack it, you break it, you bite it, and you eat it, you have those concentrated juices on the inside just drip and coat your mouth, and it's just the best feeling in the world. There's nothing that can really compare to freaking chicharrones, which, like I said, is in a way, the best way I can put it is fried pork, deep fried pork belly. So just to show you here, listen to this. It's nice and crunchy. So we're gonna go ahead and get this here, and we're gonna try to see. Look at that. Look at that. I went ahead and cracked it. I'm not sure if the camera caught it, but if it didn't, I just want to show you right here. So it was completely dry, as you can see. Look at the other ones. I mean, you see the slight juices on it, but once you crack it and you slowly squeeze it, it just starts oozing out. And all this is like a really nice thick piece of meat, and then you have that fatty on there, and then you have this layer of salted skin that's completely crunchy, as you guys heard. So the textures are perfect on it. Just go ahead and have a piece of this. That was so good. Honestly, this is so rich and so fatty. Eating it on its own is definitely a little much, but that's why you went ahead and you ordered some of these plantains to cut down on like the richness, fattiness, and saltiness of this. By having a little bit of the sweetness of the plantain. Guys, I really wanted you to check this place out. I promise you it's worth it. Like really, really worth it. You get a whole bunch of the food with the exception of the pork belly, the chicharrones, and the carne frita. Everything else was included in that $20 price that I told you guys about. That's a lot of food. You get a whole chicken, you get a huge thing of rice, you get a medium-sized thing of beans, you get that huge thing of yuca, and you get the plantains all for that price. It's hard to beat because it's a lot of food. And not only is it a lot of food, it is some of the best food, and it's gonna be the best rotisserie chicken you've ever had, guys. With that said, thank you so much for coming back and being consistent every single Sunday, guys, and coming to check out our videos. I'm honestly counting down because I just have such a nice surprise for you guys when September comes. I'm not 100% sure when we're gonna go ahead and reveal the surprise, but I don't know if it'll be maybe halfway through September or maybe closer to the end of September, but we'll see. Regardless, I will definitely let you guys know what it is. But as always, thank you very much. Doesn't matter how many times I say it, I feel like it'll never be enough. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our videos. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and finish some of this food and probably take a shower and take a nap right after because this is a lot. Thank you so much. As always, Buena.